Dit voel soos 'n storie in 'n boek of op die silwerdoek, maar die verhaal van die ontvoering van die Korkie-egpaar van Bloemfontein is allermins fiksie. Trouwens, dit is skrikwekkend en dit bring terreur tot op ons voorstoep. Ons praat nou telefonies met 'n terreur-kenner, Prof Hussein Solomon van die Vrystaatste universiteit se departement van politieke studies. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Prof Solomon, can this be seen as a terror act?
Well, a terrorism act would be defined in terms of intimidation, in terms of the desire to terrorize a particular segment of the population, and certainly it is, by that definition, an act of terrorism.
You've expressed concern that South Africans are becoming soft targets for terrorists. Why is that?
I think it's because if the ransom is paid, what would then happen is that South Africans could be targeted specifically because we are seen to be open to extortion, to blackmail, and so forth. And you would know that other countries like the United States, as well as Israel, does not countenance such an approach to dealing with kidnappers or blackmailers.
Although it sounds like quite a harsh question, it is one that needs to be asked. Should a ransom be paid, and what are the repercussions of if it were to be paid or not paid?
Well, I mean, first of all, my heart goes out to the Korkie family, but you need to ask what's the purpose of this $3 million that these Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula is actually asking for. They're going to use this money for more terrorist operations to go and target other people and also other operations further away because they have ties to Al-Shabaab in Somalia, to Boko Haram in Nigeria, and so forth. And yeah, it is a tough question. Do we try to get Pierre Korkie and pay the ransom, or do we make other people suffer as a result of them receiving the $3 million?
Yeah, and who's to make that decision at the end of the day?
Exactly.
What would be a breakthrough for this situation?
Look, ideally, if the kidnappers already released Yolanda, Pierre's wife, without any payment. Ideally, as you know, they made a mistake. They assumed that the Korkies were Americans, rich Americans, and hopefully on humanitarian grounds, because of Pierre's declining health, the ideal situation would be where they release him without any payment of ransom as they did to Yolanda. But I fear this will not be the case.
You said that initially they assumed they were rich Americans. Now they know that they are in fact not wealthy and that they are South Africans, and that getting that ransom is almost impossible. $3 million is a lot of money. Do you think they'll back down because they just don't have the money to give to them?
First of all, look, I think that while they made the mistake, they are also in a very difficult position because in Arab culture, you can't lose face. Meaning that when you make certain assertions, certain promises, that either you get $3 million or you send Pierre's head in a box back to South Africa, you know, they are more concerned how that might impact negatively upon their image as the strong Al-Qaeda issuing threats and so forth. Already, they have given an extension, you know, of 3 weeks on the original promise that last Friday, was the cutoff date. So they themselves have put themselves into a corner, and they can't be affording to lose face because what it means for future recruitment of young people joining them. Is this a strong organization? Is this a lion or is it a pussycat?
Yeah. Why do we not see more Islamic groups condemning terror acts like these?
Unfortunately, that's a very good question. You know, I recently published a book called Jihad, A South African Perspective. And you would recall that even in South Africa, people were celebrating the attack on 9/11. And this for me is very problematic because there's the act of terrorism and there's the ideology of terrorism which makes it acceptable among certain people. And both of these has to be condemned.
How big an impact will diplomacy make? For example, Deputy Minister Ibrahim is there at the moment.
First of all, I think it's a bit too late. The Korkies were originally kidnapped in the middle of last year. Now he goes. Like 7 months too late. So that's the first point. The second point is that the Department of International Relations and Cooperation of South Africa has indicated that they will not negotiate, but they will only negotiate with the government of Yemen. But the government of Yemen does not have Pierre Korkie, neither do they control the areas where Al-Qaeda is active in the south. The government launched an offensive in 2012, and they still haven't made any headway to remove Al-Qaeda. So frankly, I don't see what that man is trying to do in Yemen.
So let's hope that it's not a case of too little, too late. Thank you very much, Prof. Solomon. Dit is Professor Hussein Solomon.